I have the highest regard for any man that comes into this program. And sympathy. It ain't easy coming in here. First of all, it's not easy to come and get abstinent. To see, it's not easy to give up one's addiction. That's a big step to walk through that door. And then the other thing is a man coming in and having to see all these women, and of course we're all crazy anyway, so it's tough. I love to hear from the men. I've always loved to hear from the men. I grew up in an environment, a culture, in which a man was a man and a woman was a woman. And men knew everything, and men were not weak. No weakness. That's the way I was brought up about men. And to see men cry, to see men talk about making amends, to see men talk about love. I was like, am I on the planet? Because I never heard men talk like that before until I got into a 12-step, a way of life. So I'm just so thankful for you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please keep coming back. We need you. Yes. Yeah, bring all your friends. Now, we are going to have Will. Is that correct? And Ed. And is it John? Norman. Oh, my goodness. I know all three of these guys. Will is like a brother to me. Need I say more? I love you. Norman, I learn from every time he speaks. And I don't ever get to hear enough from Norman. And Ed, I've only known Ed for a short time in Colorado. Woo! And he works it, and he shows up, and he gives back, and he is a very kind and gentle soul. And for this, I really love Ed and appreciate Ed, and I feel comfortable with Ed. And this is a great gift to me, and I thank you for that, Ed. And so would you gentlemen come on without further ado, and we're so glad that you're here. We love you, Pano. Yes, we do. We love you, Pano. Oh, you know be true. When you're not with us, we're blue. Oh, Pano, we love you.
I'm Will, Cultivator. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, my sister, who just spoke, has already told a lot of my stories, so I guess I can sit down and maybe y'all would like me to do that. Being sort of egotistical, I'll just stay up here a while. I usually start by saying I was born long, long ago in a land far away. Even though it was only an hour here. Growing up in Jewish and not affluent and gay in East Texas in the 50s, pre-Ellen. It was a different experience. Now that I think about what life is now, what my life is now, it seems like I'm reading ancient history. I'm reading ancient history.
It is ancient history.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, my sister just said it is ancient history, and thank God for that. Thank God for programs that believe me that that's my past, not my future. I was a very thin, skinny, small child. And so my parents, well, we've got to fix that. So they were always shoving white stuff to me, constantly. And I sure took it. And so, it was never a problem. I mean, I never gained any weight. And until I got into my late 20s, and it turns on you. It turns on you. And it was then that I started, I would gain a couple dozen pounds in the fall and lose it in the spring. I guess I thought I was a bear or something. And, it wasn't a problem because I'd lose it in time, to get into a swimsuit. But by my late 20s, it wasn't going away so fast. And that started my 25-year death march to the rooms of Compulsive Eaters Anonymous. Now, as many of us talk about, it's my story, all kind of diets and, in different programs and different exercise. It's still humorous to me. I really enjoy eating healthy. And I really enjoy exercising and taking care of myself. And I would be into that. And the big book says it's truly awful to admit drink in hand. Well, it would be truly awful to admit food in hand. I would be often compulsively eating and binging. Once again, it's like, what happened? What happened? And that went on up and down and up and down for 25 years. And I never got to the point that I was powerless. When I became abstinent, I had already been in 12-step. I'd been in Alcoholics Anonymous for 17 years. And, I wasn't truly working the third step. I was turning over everything but food. I wasn't turning over my life and my will. So, finally, in December of 2006, at the first of the month, I came to the point, why do I even bother? I added an explicative in that too. You can fill in the blanks. Why do I even bother? So, my brain, who always has who always can match a solution with a problem, told me, well, all you need is bariatric surgery. Or sometimes I forget and call it barometric surgery. And so I really got into that, and I'm on the web, and I'm looking at it, and my friends are like, whoa, what is going on? Oh no, this is what I got to do. This is the solution. Well, after about 2 weeks of being into that, I realized I had done a first step. The problem was, I didn't accept my higher power into my eating and my health, and I didn't have a program. So I thought, and my sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous had been talking to me for several years about friends of his that were in Cea-How, and I thought it was C dash. I'm like, what? What's with that? So I thought, and I knew a couple of these people, and I thought, well, my family's coming to town to celebrate my mother's 95th birthday. And you know what happens on birthdays? We had 4 parties for her. Yeah. All that's, that stuff you get around the table and worship. So I thought that they're leaving Christmas Day, the day after Christmas, I'm going to make the call. The day after Christmas, which was December, my abstinent date, December 26th of 06, I happened to be on the phone with Carol J. And I don't remember if she called me or I called her. I think of it as God went out on a limb. And so I'm telling her all this. And we had been friends for quite a while. And over maybe 6 months before that, we had gotten to be even closer friends. And I'm telling her all about Cea-How. So finally she said, well, I've been in that program 10 years. Do you want to go to a meeting tonight? Yes, I'll pick you up. So I picked her up. We went out to a meeting in Mesquite, never been there again. Went that night, and the first thing they did was offer a desire chip. Well, I've been in recovery. I know you go get a desire chip. So I went and I got a desire chip, and then they read the 7 tools. I thought, boy, you're in it now. I really don't know if they had done that first. I mean, it was a God thing. If they had read I would be like, oh, no, do this, no, calls, right, no, So I'm like, I knew once you get your desire chip, you're in it. So I was in it, and I'm like, so I turned to Carol, and so if y'all have any resentments or don't like anything I said, blame it on Carol. Sometimes I'll call her up and I'll say, this is ridiculous. I'm a person who would get a serving spoon, open up the refrigerator, and graze. And now I'm teaspoons, tablespoons, leveling off a half cup. What have you gotten into? And she said, aren't you glad? And I said, yes, Carol, I am. I'm very grateful. So I get in the program, and it's like, well, what do I do and what do I, it's maybe, I guess many of us can relate, well, what do I do and what do I buy and what do I measure, what, it's just all so new. And she said, well, she told me what to do to get started. She said, I want you to go, this was a few days later, go to the Saturday 11 o'clock meeting in Dallas, which is my home group meeting, which I think is, of course, the best meeting in the universe. And she said, there's one man I want for your sponsor. And this man never went to that meeting. He was there that day. And it started my journey in Compulsive Eaters Anonymous. The thing that I remember the most, two things. One, I remember all the love and the hugs. And I said, I'd been in 12-step for 17 years, and I was used to fellowship and strong fellowship and warm fellowship. It was a whole new level of love and welcoming that I found in Compulsive Eaters Anonymous. The second thing, which I know is a God deal, is I was given the thought, just be a newcomer. Yes, you've talked on the steps, and yes, you've done this, and yes, you've done, but just be a newcomer. And that was such a blessing. I didn't talk for 30 days. I took notes. I would have, those newcomer feelings. I thought, well, yeah, you're 1 week abstinent. You're only 1 week sober in this area. You're a newcomer. It really helped me not put demands on myself or expectations on myself. And people like Norman and Mike O, and I would make my outreach calls and they would say, Will, just give it 30 days. Just give it 30 days. Now I'm sure they gave me a lot of good advice, but that's what I remember. And my sponsor, Jim G, said, Will, when you think you need more food, you need more God. When you think you need more food, you need more God. After I was in program, I don't remember exactly, about 8 or 9 days. 8 days is 24 meals, weighed and measured with nothing in between. I sort of got in the groove and it all sort of fell into place. But my miracle in that, as I'm sure many of you have had it too, is all of a sudden, this was in my 2nd week of abstinence, the feeling came to me. I felt free. I felt this enormous weight was lifted off of me. I don't have to worry about dieting anymore. That's off the table. You know how every magazine, everything you got to read about? No, you don't have to do that. ever again, one day at a time. And the mental and emotional relief and all that long decades of pain and body image shame and fear and so much of that was all of a sudden lifted. And I knew I had that. But the feeling of relief really blew me away when I realized how much it had been burdening me, how much it had been weighing me down for so long, for so long. Carol suggested we talk about today in our panel is we are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. Now, there's a conundrum in that. I believe God wants me to be happy, wants me to be happy, joyous, and free. I'm not binging on food. I'm not living in that disease of compulsive eating ever again, one day at a time. I have a new life. I have freedom. Why shouldn't I be happy all the time? That's when the disease comes in. I have the disease of compulsive eating. It doesn't want me to be abstinent. It doesn't want me to go to meetings. It doesn't want me to make outreach calls, write down my food, answer a question, talk to my sponsor. So I have to remember to stay in solution, because that disease wants to kill me. And it was headed in that way. It was headed in that way. So, yes, I'm happy, joyous, and free as a result of the continuing use of the 7 tools. One thing I am grateful for is I have been able to keep alive how I felt when I was laid up in the bed with all that food and I would go to sleep miserable in a bed of crumbs. What it was really like compulsive eating. How I really felt. You know, it wasn't like, oh, a little taste of this, a little taste of this. Please. How many boxes do you have? You know, I mean, you know, I was a person, near my house there were 3 7-Elevens within a mile. I would stop at each one and load up. That's the way I compulsively ate. And I would eat abusively. Let's say I wanted, one thing sounded good to me. And I would say, no, you can't have that. You have to have this. It's less healthy, because that's all you deserve. You know, that's what it had gotten to, that self-abuse, because there was some pain and some hole I just couldn't feel, and it was that separation from God in the area of compulsive eating. Whew. So, Rena, my sister, talked about, like so many people have talked about, I am free today from that. You know, and sometimes some kind person that doesn't understand, nice person, will say, would you like this, a little bitty bite of something? And, you know, I mean, that happens to all of us. You know, some kind person wants to be, you know, a hostess or something. And I'll look at it, and I'll think, how could that little piece of food be worth my serenity and my peace? How could it possibly be worth it? Because I remember what it was really like and what that little piece would lead to. And I don't ever want to go back there. When I say my prayers in the morning, I say it is with so much emotion. And I think of what it was really like, and I say, please, God, not that today. And when I go to sleep at night, free and joyous and happy, it is so heartfelt. Thank you, God. It wasn't that way today. I want to share with you what it says in the Big Book after that promise. And I'm going to substitute some of the words. I bet you'll catch on as we go through it. It says, we cannot subscribe to the belief that this life is a vale of tears, though it once was for many of us. It is clear we made our own misery. God did not do it. Avoid, then, the deliberate manufacture of misery. Negative thinking is a large part of our disease. But if trouble comes, cheerfully capitalize it as an opportunity to demonstrate His omnipotence. Then the next paragraph, now about health. A body badly burned by compulsive eating does not often recover overnight, nor do twisted thinking and depression vanish in a twinkling. We are convinced that a spiritual mode of life is a most powerful restorative. Thank you. I so want to hear from Ed. I met Ed. He's been my sponsor for a year. We met last night for the first time in person. So Big D Dallas, welcome for Ed, coming in with Janice, his wife from Colorado, to share with us. So, boss.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Ed. I'm a compulsive eater.
Hi, Ed.
One thing I learned in meetings that when I say the name, my name is Ed, and I'm a compulsive eater, you already know 80% of my story. You know, I don't have to talk about all of the struggles. But this is a men's panel, and anyhow, I'm going to talk a little bit about the 20% of my story that's a little bit different than everybody, to entertain you a little bit, you know, because you know, I mean, usually you get these women up here and, you know, listening old stuff, you know, hey, you know, I wrote on there for What Makes Me Happy, Joyous, and Free, refereeing basketball. I love it when coaches yell at me sometimes. It energizes me. So, anyhow, my Cea-How story, since this is a very musical conference, how many of you remember the words to the Beverly Hillbillies theme? I want us to join in and sing for the recording the story of Jay Clampett. Because it really is part of my story. Come listen to a story about a man named Chad, a poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground came a bubbling crude. Oil that is black gold, Texas tea. All that describes, if you remember, Granny Clampett sitting on that rocking chair in the Ozarks of Arkansas and heading to Beverly Hills, California. Well, that was my first 6 months in Cea-How. I was Granny Clampett. No, I am not going to give up flour and sugar. No, I am not going to attend 3 meetings this week. No. Sort of like the Meghan Trainor song. You know, my name is no, and Cea-How is no, and you know, and the phone calls are no, and the hugs are no. But damn it, my wife was attending these meetings. And she was losing weight. So I had to do this a little bit differently, you know. So this was my second go-around at food, and this is a little bit of my food history. I was working, a very, very single person, working in my job in Washington, D.C., and we had a spiritual retreat and the psychologist said, you need to lose weight. And so I found one of these handy-dandy, weight loss programs, and didn't realize how much anger I had in me. And some little thing happened, and I was in a back office, and I slammed to the door and absolutely shattered part of the backboard because of all of this rage that I had about food. And really what it was just being furious about stuff. And so anyhow, my very first time in working in food programs, I was pretty much a relationship kind of person, and all of a sudden, I was starting to date. And then a few years later, I met my wife, and she wrote her memoir, and I'm chapter 5 in the memoir. The chapter's called Dancing with Ed, but anyhow, hers was a story of really overcoming adversity. And I like to say that in recovery, happiness, recovery is fun, happiness is fun, is overcoming adversity. Another part of my story was my mother was a Holocaust survivor, but I was born with cerebral palsy, and I couldn't walk until the age of 3. And I was in this family that absolutely loved and adored sports. So one of you was talking about Joy going to a sports bar. I thought, oh God, the women aren't going to like that. They're going to go upstairs to the boutique, and I'm going, oh no, the boutique. So anyhow, I loved sports, and I was the last person in elementary school to ever do a forward roll. And I felt so different, so out of it, so much like a freak. And yet I was born into this family with a dad who just absolutely loved sports. So I thought I would never get into the world of sports. But I'm one of these people with a real personality, so I got really very angry with a sports official during a high school football game, and I thought, oh God, he's going to just think I'm nuts. He hands me his card. He says, I'm the presiding commissioner of the Football Officials Association, and if you think you can do any better, come join us. 5,500 sporting events later, including the shirt I changed into. And Rita, you were just a rock star during your presentation. So I thought I have to change and sort of get into the mood of the conference. So I changed from a plain shirt and sweater and stuff like that to the second happiest time of my life. The happiest time of my life was marrying my beautiful wife. And in a wedding with sort of a rental audience, that we had people, you name the ethnicity, you name the disability, you name everything. And it was like rented audience, and they were there, we started with a bluegrass service. We had people in our sister program, Overeaters Anonymous, say Roseanne's Prayer. Guy from Jamaica sang the Our Father during our wedding. It was just a beautiful time. But the second happiest time of my life, I had the opportunity to referee with some national and international celebrities at the World Games of the Special Olympics in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. And I got this T-shirt as part of the honor. And it was such an honor for me, somebody who couldn't walk until I was age 3, to be running up and down the gym of the Dean Dome in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, with a referee who has refereed the national championship basketball games as a referee for people with intellectual disabilities. It just moved me to tears. So what does that have to do with happy, joyous, and free? It is, we can overcome anything. No matter, and we've heard stories like that already this morning, whatever the tragedy, we can overcome it. Growing up in East Texas as a gay man, overcoming it, being my mother who hid in a tunnel in Rotterdam, Holland, and finally got caught by the Nazis, came to America. My wife, and I'm sure she'll share sometime during the retreat of just a horrible 1989 where there were 4 tragedies that happened in her life, and then this idiot did the gator on the floor dancing with her, and she said it was the first time she laughed in years. Back to recovery is fun, and we can still have that awareness one day at a time, and the reason we can have that awareness is because I don't do what I did back before the days of compulsive eating before. I just loved travel. But anyhow, my reason for traveling was to find a brand new, all-you-can-eat, delicious place to go. So I drive, I'm ending up in so-and-so area. Well, where's the all-you-can-eat buffet here? And just consume absolute mass quantities. And I didn't think I was fat, And now I announce myself at meetings, and I says, I'm a compulsive eater. My absence day is February 18th, 2013, and I've lost 90 pounds. Well, 90 pounds makes me more of a real baby. And yes, we can. And all we have is today. So, it's back to, me versus food. Food wins every time. I don't care. I don't care who we are. But me, my higher power, and the love I can get in these rooms, the joy I have is multiplied by every one of you who's here. The pain I have is divided by every one of the people who's here. Whether you're abstinent, whether you have the desire to be abstinent, or whether you have the desire to be abstinent, like Randy Clampett / Ed coming over to Cea-How for the first 6 months. So thank everybody for being here. And I'll turn it over to Norman.
My name is Norman. I'm a compulsive eater. I waddled into the big meeting that I've heard a lot of people refer to on May 5th, 2002, weighing 259 pounds, and I was at the doctor for my annual physical, all good grades, by the way, yesterday at 172, but I was still fully clothed and carrying a lot of junk in my pocket. I've been told that 6 pounds is probably what I was carrying, and that's been kind of constant because I weighed Monday or Tuesday 6 pounds less than where I was.
He did. You just didn't find better.
Closer to you.
Up here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right up.
Boy, you got really young.
Yeah.
Not a snow cone, but it's pretty close.
Tell me
I will sit up here and tell you I have not had any flour and sugar since then. No. But because with some little honesty problems in my life, I've had to reestablish my abstinence 2 or 3 times over that period of time. Usually within 5 or 6 hours of becoming aware, I knew one thing that if I didn't do that immediately, I'd never make it back. And if anybody has been in this room for any period of time, we all know somebody that has not made it back. Hopefully some of them yet, some of them have already passed on from the disease. I was looking at something, when I heard about what we were going to do this morning, I was looking at these two promises in the big book, and I love this. It says, this dream world. All right, now let's go over to the other promise. I feel like a preacher on Sunday.
Preach on.
We cannot subscribe to the belief that this life is a vale of tears, though it once was just for many of us. That was my fantasy land before I came to Cea-How. Now this was not my first rodeo. I had done OA, and that worked okay as long as I remembered Rule 1 and Rule 2, and that was you're allergic to flour and you are allergic to sugar. And once I forgot that, we all know that you can just throw away anything else. And I spent between 10 and 11 years out there trying to find out if I could make it work just one more time, one more way without doing the flour and sugar business. I'd heard about you folks, and I wasn't quite sure how the letters were, but I've been hearing about you for about 6 months, and I of course everybody looks it up on the internet, and maybe it's there. Maybe I can find out with actually going to a meeting, and I got absolutely no help until I walked into the doors that morning, and I was fortunate enough to find somebody that would be my sponsor, and I have had a sponsor ever since, which is not the way my previous life 12-step programs is. Currently my life, and I'm enjoying this, by the way. My wife's father will be 92 years old last day of this month, and I'm his caregiver. And she lives down here in Dallas, and I live in Oklahoma, and we go back and forth. So if y'all don't see me here a whole lot, it's because I'm also getting to spend some time with my bride. And that deal there came together because of a 12-step program too. And I don't think, I've never thought about divorce, but there were times when I was in the disease that murder would have been. And I will tell you, I love being married today, and I love having the ability to take care of that old guy, and he does not like it. He wants to be, just like we all do, independent, and it's not possible for him to do that. And I've been really fortunate that my sponsor is taking care of his dad in Chicago, and so I've got somebody I can whine to. And I've called some people up in this room that I've been able to whine to, and you all have given me an ear, and thank you so much. And if you ever get into a situation to take care of a relative, get it in writing. Whatever it is, you get it in writing. And the second rule is don't do it. I took care of my mother for 6 weeks before she died, and I've taken care of my father-in-law for the last 2 years, and he looks like he's going to make it for a long time. And I will also say this: if I did not have this program, there is no way I could have, one, taken care of my mom for 6 weeks, been her caregiver before she, up until the point where she passed away. And there is absolutely no way that I would be able to be a caregiver for a 92-year-old man that him and I do not think alike. The elections were several months ago. He's on one side and I'm on the other side, and we don't get involved in political things and Cea-How. And I found out in families it's a good idea not to get involved in family, in political things too. The one thing that I've got to say about this whole deal is, if you want it, it's available for you. All you got to do is ask for help. I really hate that part where we've got to make 3 phone calls a day, and the reason that I love those 3 phone calls a day is because I'm able to connect with 3 other people that are compulsive eaters as well as my sponsor. And I honestly believe the place that I live, I drive 62 miles one way to get to a meeting every other week. And I need that connection to those real life compulsive eaters. And when I come to Dallas to pick up my wife and take her back to Oklahoma, I really try to make it to a meeting of Compulsive Eaters Anonymous. Our face-to-face meetings is what lets me know that it really works. Because I still believe that, well, maybe they're lying to me. If I don't look you in the eye, if I can't look at you in the eye and see what you're telling me and what I see, I'm not always sure, but I know if I can catch you in a meeting and I can watch what you're saying and I can watch you sharing and I can listen to you and I have the ability to come up and hug you, then I know that this disease is arrestable one day at a time, and I'm absolutely overjoyed that I was invited. I got ambushed on this deal, folks. She said men's panel. I thought it was going to be okay, a half a dozen old men in here, and we were going to tell some jokes and whatever else, and talk about that fourth step and that fifth step. It has, reality did not turn out to be what I dreamed it was going to be. Up until about 6 o'clock last night, and I found, oh my gosh. So here I am standing in front of a bunch of people completely exposed as a grateful compulsive overeater, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Norman. Before I forget, which I often do, I think probably most of the men in the room know, but as a reminder, there is now a men-only phone bridge meeting. Pass it on. Pass it on. It's Tuesday evenings at 7 Central Time. And it's a special call-in number and code, and you can find that at the main Cea-How site.
And how do you know who's calling? Right. Trust.
Well, I surely know Alan Nutty's wife would get on to listen to what her husband has to say.
Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's recommended. There's plenty of other meetings, but there's so few meetings. You know, so often on the call you'll hear, you know, I go to a meeting, I'm the only man.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know,
Good for you.
check it out. Check it out. Karen, how much time do we have? 10 minutes. What gentleman in the office would like to share? We want you.
Ladies are open there for the last.
Okay, whoever wants to talk.
Let's go with men.
Let's men.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No
Right.
politics, man.
There's right.
All right.
Will? I will. Thank you. My name's Ryan. I'm a compulsive eater. And Will is my dad, Ed is my granddad, and Bill is my son. I'm just really glad to be here. I find myself always wanting to find a way of having humor, and I guess the one thing I'd like to say is that if you can't be a good example, then be a warning.
And those of you that speak, come up afterwards and sign the release. Who's next?
Lonnie, compulsive eater. Abstinent date November 26th last year. Total weight loss, 90 pounds. 20 most recently. I was thinking about what my sponsor in another program says about dabbling in this disease and my process of recovery, but at first it's fun. It works. Whether it was that disease or this disease. There was a time in my life when this worked. It was fun. And then there was a time that it was fun with problems. And then there was that time that it was just problems. And that's when I came to the doors of Compulsive Eaters Anonymous. And I'm so very, very grateful to be here today. I'll share briefly. I was asked to share this again. I didn't know I was going to do it here, but thank you for your vote of confidence. And here I stand with this snow cone, trembling a little bit. But I always look for takeaways at these get-togethers. And that started last night. And haven't we had some wonderful, wonderful presentations? How about a round of applause? And people that put this together. And so the takeaway started last night. And this morning, early, we go do the little meditation thing. Now, I'm a guy. Meditate, we're going to start the meditation. And first thing I'm wondering is, everybody's meditating better than I am. They probably got better thoughts, they're more connected, everything's better. But as we sat there in the quiet for 10 minutes, and I realized where I am, I'm at Cea-How, at the Area 2 Assembly. And the thought came to me, I was taken back to my middle daughter's wedding. And we're standing together while the wedding director gives us this motion. It's time to start coming down the aisle. And I was able to turn to my daughter and hold her hands and look her in the eye and say, can we just make this moment last forever? And that's how I feel about this Area 2 Assembly. I don't want to leave here. You're my people. And to be able to connect one-on-one, one compulsive eater to another, in the love which is manifest in this room, I'll take this with me until the day I die. I love you. And I love you for what you've given me. Thanks.
Thanks, 5 minutes. Who's next?
All right.
Hi, my name's John. I'm a compulsive eater. I'm here because I absolutely have to be here. But in Tennessee, we don't have face-to-face Cea-How meetings. And it was literally a thrill for me to get here yesterday. And
Just have to hold it close.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
It was a thrill for me to get here yesterday and go up to the hospitality suite and actually put some faces to some names, but just talking to some people that knew what I was talking about. I've been in recovery 12-step recovery for compulsive eating since 1988. In Cea-How since March 20th of 2014, and Cea-How abstinent since that time. I'm 97 to 100 from my top weight, and I was kind of stuck in our sister program, and Cea-How helped me let go of the last 65. And, I'll be forever grateful for that. And I didn't pay much attention to these things called the tools when I was in our sister program. I had came in when I was sober. I'd been sober about 5 years when I came to food-related recovery. And I thought I sort of had a monopoly on God. Minor ego issues. You know, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Took me a long time. But I did get this, have it now, I think. But it's still, it's a day at a time, it's an arm length away. You know, I need the discipline that we accept here as requirements. And thank God for it, because I am left to my own devices. I'd be playing with it. You know, people in our sister program used to congratulate me on my honesty when I came back after yet another slip. But the truth was, they were congratulating me on the fact that I couldn't get honesty. My self-honesty with regards to food was not there. You know, all I did was blur the lines of my food plan. Kind of sweep the program under the rug. Doing a lot of this. But I'm really happy to be here. It's just great to be among people who suffer from a common peril but with a common solution, and one we need to participate in every day. Thank you.
I got that there's no more time. Would y'all mind seriously if I end it with a joke?
No!
Now,
Bring it.
with my dear ones from the 11 o'clock Saturday meeting, a lot of you have heard this joke, but you can laugh again. There was an 88-year-old lady living in a nursing home. She was not in good health, and she became engaged to an undertaker that was also in the home. And the little local newspaper thought, this is a real human interest story. And the young reporter went out and interviewed her that she was getting married at 88. And the lady said, yes, it's my fourth marriage. My first marriage was to a wealthy banker. My second was to an acrobat. And my third was to a minister. And now I'm marrying an undertaker. So the young person said, my goodness, that's an assortment. She said, yes. 1 for the money, 2 for the show. 3 to get ready, and 4 to go.
Can I tell one more?
Karen, we will close with a prayer.
Yes.
Do you have any
It's
announcements?
lunchtime, folks. Want to get over there? Where's lunch? Right next door. All right, this way.